Okay, so if I type in shaded cubes on the internet, do an image search, you can find a lot of examples of both shading, and then what we're doing today is cast shadowing. So when light hits an object, there should be a shadow on the opposite side. So let's take this very first cube as an example. Light is coming from the left, and it is casting the shadow on the right. Light is coming from the left, casting the shadow on the right. And this example right here, which I think is a really nice looking shadow, the light again is coming from the left. So your darkest side is going to cast shadow. And one thing you notice about this one, not so much the other ones, but this one is, I think, looks a little bit more realistic because it kind of fades out. The shadow gets darker towards the side, but then it starts to fade out as it gets further away from the object. And that's what I'm going to attempt to do right here with this cube. The first thing that you want to do, and it's very important that you do this, I can't emphasize it enough, is you need to do it in the correct group. So this group is called vacations, and that's the cube for vacations. So I'm going to open up vacations. I'm going to click on the top layer, but I'm going to do a shadow on another blank layer, right? So I'm going to scroll down here, and beside the trash icon in the layers palette, I'm going to click the plus, and it just put a layer right here. And I'm not going to leave it untitled layer 8. I'm going to title this cast shadow. Always good to title your layers. Always good to title your layers. I'm going to draw the shadow with the polygonal lasso tool. That tool that we used at the beginning of the semester for cutting things out. It can also be used to draw in areas where you can do stuff. The hotkey for the polygonal lasso is L, as in lasso. So I'm going to hit L, and if you look at the toolbox, you can see that it selected this tool right underneath the move tool. Right click, I'll choose the middle one, which is polygonal lasso. Zoom in, maybe not, yeah, about that much. I want to be pretty accurate here. I'm going to click, click. This I can just click because eventually a picture is going to cover that. So it really doesn't matter. The picture that goes on that cube will cover the shadow, so it really doesn't matter. I'm going to click again because I want the shadow to be sort of behind here. Now I'm really going to zoom in because I'm going to throw it right up against the edge. This side, hold down my space bar and click where I started. Now I have my selection. Now when you paint in a shadow, you don't want to use black. You want to use a dark, cool color. Cool colors are anything blue, blue-green, blue-violet, anything with blue in it. So I'm going to go here to the color picker, and I'm going to stay away from the left side here because that's black. You want to go on the right side, which is the actual color. I'm going to click this one right here. Press OK. Now I'm going to press the hotkey B. B will give you the brush tool because I'm going to paint with a brush. Right click, brush tool. A couple of things you want to do with the brush tool before you start painting. Oh, by the way, left bracket key, right bracket key beside the letter P on your keyboard. Bigger brush, smaller brush. I'm going to probably, yep, that's about the size I want, size of a quarter. Or is that a quarter? I don't know, maybe bigger than a quarter. All right, so I did say there are two things that you want to do up here at the top with these options. The first thing is you want to make sure you're using the right brush. So just click this little second triangular drop down. And it's real simple. Just choose the first one right there. Soft round. That's what you want. Don't want to do a hard round or it won't shade. And the other ones are for tablets, drawing tablets, because it says pressure opacity. That has to do if you had a drawing tablet, you would use those. But we don't for this project, unless you're using one, it's fine. But regardless, choose the first one, soft round. Second thing you want to do is you don't want to paint at 100% opacity. When I say opacity, I mean opacity of the brush. That doesn't look good. You want to have a lot more control. This is like taking your colored pencil and pressing it down as hard as you possibly can on the paper. You don't want that. So take the opacity from 100, and I'll tell you, I go down, I just highlight it and type 9. You don't have to choose 9. It can be a little more than that, but I wouldn't go much higher than 9 for the opacity of the brush. Don't get the opacity of the brush confused with over here the opacity of the layer. This will take the entire visibility of the layer down. We can look at that in a second. I'm ready to go, so just swipe. I'm going to zoom out a little bit while I do this and make my brush bigger. Why not? Yeah, that looks good. Should get a little darker towards the edge. Watch this. I'm going to take the lasso, and I'm also going to draw a little bit on this side of the cube, because this is, in shadow for the most part. And it's on its own layer, so I'm going to move. All right. Now, another thing you want to avoid is this scissor cut look. It just doesn't look real. That really sharp line on the shadow. So one thing you can do is you can actually soften that and blur it using something I have not shown you, but you'll like. It's called the blur tool. And the blur tool used to have a hotkey command, but it doesn't anymore. You'll just have to find it. It's right here. It looks like a teardrop, but yours could look like a triangle that says sharpen. It could look like a hand with a finger that says smudge. You just kind of have to right click until you find the blur tool, which is the top tool, the teardrop. And watch this. Again, that's a brush, so I'm going to make it bigger with the right bracket key. You hear me just clicking? I'm just clicking over and over. And it's going to really, really soften up that. You see up here where it says strength 50%? I'm going to go up higher. Strength of the blur brush. There. I'm going to do it over here too. Okay, another thing you can do is press E for the eraser. Again, it's a brush. E for the eraser, it's the top one. I would erase, again, look, it says 9%. That's perfect. Don't erase at 100% opacity. It'll destroy everything. This way, I can just kind of fade out that edge just a little bit. And this one, move out. And that's a cast shadow. That's it. You only have one. So remember those steps, or watch this video as many times as you need to. If you're still struggling, just have me come over to your desk and I'll work with you.